My name is Evelyn Moretti. I'm 70 years old, and I've lived in Phoenix, Arizona my whole life. And if you only remember one thing about me, remember this. I'm the woman who left her children with nothing. Not a bed to sleep in, not a couch to sit on, not even the walls they thought would always shelter them. I can still picture it the day my children walked into the house they believed was theirs. The front door opened. Their voices echoed down the hallway, and instead of the familiar comfort of home, they found emptiness. Every room stripped bare, every photo frame gone, furniture missing. Even the curtains had disappeared from the windows, leaving sunlight to pour into a hollow, lifeless house. My eldest daughter, Lucia, had been the first to arrive. She was carrying grocery bags, humming like she owned the place. But when she walked into that empty living room, she froze. She dropped the bags on the floor, apples rolling across the tile. My son, Anthony, thundered down the stairs, confused and panicked. His television, the pride of his so-called man cave, was gone. His precious basement lair looked like a concrete dungeon. He started shouting, cursing, calling for me like I had stolen something from him. And then came Marina, my youngest. She had just flown in from California, dragging her suitcase with the entitlement of someone checking into a hotel. She pulled on her bedroom door handle and found it locked brand new locks she didn't have keys for. All three of them stood there, bewildered, angry, panicking. And taped right there on the front door, fluttering in the desert breeze, was a crisp envelope from the realtor. This property has been sold. Please contact our office for details regarding your vacate notice. That was the moment everything shattered for them. And I wasn't there to see it. Not in person, anyway. I was already sitting in my new condo, on the other side of town, sipping chamomile tea by the window, free for the first time in decades. Because this chaos didn't happen by accident. It was no random twist of fate. It was a plan. My plan, months in the making. And it all started the night I realized just how little my children truly cared about me. I wasn't always the kind of woman who could sell a house out from under her own children. No, once upon a time, I was the type who lived for them. I was only 19 when I married my late husband, Marco Moretti. He was a carpenter. Steady hands, steady work. Together, we built this home, brick by brick, watching it rise from nothing but desert soil. Every paycheck, every bead of sweat, went into those walls. By the time our first daughter, Lucia, was born, that house was more than shelter. It was our dream, the place where birthdays were celebrated, Christmas trees stood tall, and late-night laughter echoed down the hallway. Then came Anthony. Strong-willed and stubborn from the start. Marco adored him, said he'd carry on the Moretti name with pride. And finally, Marina, our youngest. Sweet, shy, and a little spoiled by the time she arrived. By then, Marco and I were older, more comfortable, and she never had to want for much. But when Marco passed away 15 years ago, everything shifted. I became the anchor, the one holding everyone together. I cooked their meals, did their laundry, paid the bills. Even when they were old enough to move out, somehow, they never did. Why waste money on rent, Ma? Anthony would shrug, sprawled across the couch. You've got more than enough space, Lucia would add, dumping her work bags on the kitchen counter. And Marina? She treated the house like a storage unit, flying in from California whenever she felt like it, expecting a warm bed and folded sheets waiting for her. At first, I didn't mind. A house is meant to be full of family, I thought. But, as the years went on, I noticed something changing in their tone, in their behavior. It wasn't gratitude anymore. It was entitlement. Anthony barked orders like I was his maid. Ma, where's dinner? Ma, can you wash this shirt? Ma, don't touch my stuff. Lucia, the oldest, took control like she already owned the place. "You should really stop gardening, it looks messy. We should repaint the living room. It's outdated." She even started bringing her friends over, showing off the house as if it were hers. And Marina? She rolled her eyes at everything. Whenever I asked for help, she'd sigh and say, "God, Mom, it's just a house. Stop acting like it's sacred." But it was sacred. It was the one thing Marco and I had built together. The one legacy we'd planned to leave behind. And yet, every day, my children made me feel like a guest in my own home. Like I was the one intruding. There were nights I cried myself to sleep in the master bedroom, clutching Marco's old sweater, wondering if I had failed as a mother. But then something shifted. A small, quiet voice inside me whispered, "They don't respect you because you never demanded respect. They don't value this home because you never made them earn it. They believe it's theirs because you never told them it wasn't." That was the night the plan was born. The night I realized that maybe the greatest lesson I could leave my children wasn't a house. It was humility, and I was going to teach it to them in the most unforgettable way possible. The night it all came crashing down was a Tuesday. Funny how the most ordinary days often carry the weight of life's biggest changes. Anthony had stumbled in late from the bar, loud and careless. He left his muddy boots on my clean rug, tossed his jacket onto the floor, and headed straight to the fridge. "Ma, you didn't shop?" he barked, staring at the empty beer shelf. "What do you even do all day?" His words stung. I was 70 years old, my hands worn from decades of cleaning and cooking, and he dared to call me useless in my own kitchen. Lucia came in right after, heels clicking, perfume choking the air. She dumped a pile of mail on the counter, without a glance at me. "Mom, the property taxes are due. You should let me handle it before you screw it up. Before you screw it up." As if I hadn't managed this house for 40 years. As if she were the landlord, and I, the tenant, overstaying my welcome. And then there was Marina. She flew in for the weekend, suitcase still in the hallway. She walked into the kitchen mid-argument, scrolling on her phone, barely looking at me. "Ugh, this house is falling apart. Honestly, Mom, you should just sign it over to us already. You can't keep up with it." Sign it over. Like I was already gone. Like I was already dead. I looked at the three of them, my children. The very people I had sacrificed everything for, and all I saw were strangers. Strangers who believed they had a right to strip me of the one thing that still tethered me to my husband, to my life's work, to my very identity. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I didn't even argue. I just sat quietly at the kitchen table, Marco's old sweater draped across my shoulders, and let their words echo in the hollow of my chest. But deep inside, something cracked. Not like fragile glass, breaking more like a dam bursting. Decades of swallowed anger, ignored disrespect, and quiet humiliation surged to the surface. And in that flood of rage came clarity. I realized something with chilling precision. My children had mistaken kindness for weakness, and weakness was something I could no longer afford. That was the moment I decided, without hesitation, without regret, that this house would never, ever belong to them. If they wanted to treat me like a servant, if they wanted to strip me of dignity, then I would strip them of the very thing they believed they owned. They thought they were inheriting a house. What they didn't know was that I was already preparing their inheritance of humiliation. After that night, everything in me changed. I didn't argue with Anthony when he barked orders at me. I didn't protest when Lucia criticized how I paid the bills. I didn't even flinch when Marina suggested I should be grateful they let me live here. On the surface, I became quieter, smaller. The frail old woman they believed they could manipulate. But, beneath that silence, I was building a plan. Every morning, after they left for work or errands, I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of espresso and a notebook. Not for recipes or grocery lists like before, but for calculations. I made lists of realtors, checked property values in the neighborhood, and quietly researched retirement apartments on the other side of town. The irony was sharp. They thought I was too old and weak to manage this house, but I was running circles around them behind their backs. I contacted an old friend, Daniela, who worked as a real estate agent. I told her everything. Not in anger, just cold facts. They think they're entitled to this house, I said. So I want to make sure they never get it. Daniela leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. You're serious? I nodded. Dead serious. From that moment, the gears began to turn. We arranged private meetings. Always during the hours when I knew Anthony would be at the bar, Lucia in her office, and Marina out shopping. Daniela showed me listings of cozy apartments with elevators, security, and neighbors my age. I pretended to hesitate. But deep inside, I already knew. I wasn't just moving out. I was staging a betrayal they'd never see coming. The second step was the sale of the house. Daniela suggested listing it quietly, to avoid the children finding out too soon. I agreed. No signs on the lawn, I said. No noise. When the deal is done, they'll have no warning. As weeks passed, I played my part. I let Anthony slam doors. I let Lucia nitpick my handwriting on checks. I let Marina sneer about how depressing the house felt. All the while, I smiled faintly, nodding along because I knew something they didn't. Every insult, every dismissal, every selfish demand was another brick I stacked into the wall of my resolve. I wasn't just taking back my dignity. I was preparing to pull the ground right out from under their entitled feet. The house that my children dismissed as a burden was quietly turning into my weapon. Daniela and I worked in absolute secrecy. We moved like thieves in the night only. Instead of stealing, I was reclaiming. Every document was signed in her office, never at the house. Every phone call was taken in whispers, with my bedroom door locked, a pillow pressed to the receiver to muffle my voice. The first step was the appraisal. A young man came to inspect the house. I told Anthony it was a city check for property taxes. He grunted, barely looking up from his phone. Lucia and Marina didn't question it either. They were too busy scrolling Instagram and planning their future renovations for a home they didn't even own yet. When the appraisal came back, my heart skipped. This house was worth nearly double what I had thought. It wasn't just a roof and 4 walls. It was freedom. It was justice with a price tag. Daniela found a buyer. Quickly, a quiet, no-nonsense man named Mr. Lewis, who ran a small company. He wanted the house for his growing family. When we met, I studied him carefully. "You'll take good care of it?" I asked. "Better than anyone else could," he replied. That was all I needed. But the real challenge was keeping it from my children. Every day felt like walking a tightrope. One night, Anthony stumbled into the kitchen late, grabbing a beer. I nearly jumped when he asked, "Hey Ma, why have you been out so much lately? You seeing a boyfriend or something?" He laughed at his own joke. I forced a weak smile. "Doctor appointments, Anthony. At my age, you know how it is." He rolled his eyes, muttering something about old people problems, and shuffled away. Inside, my heart raced. If he had pressed even a little harder, the whole plan could have unraveled. Weeks turned into months, and the sale paperwork thickened like a storm cloud. Each signature felt like a secret dagger I was sharpening. Each notarized stamp was a drumbeat closer to the moment of truth. Finally, one quiet Tuesday morning, Daniela called me. "It's done," she said. "The house is sold." I remember staring at the walls around me, the wallpaper my husband had chosen, the wooden stairs my children once tumbled down laughing, the kitchen where I'd cooked for decades. It all felt heavy, like saying goodbye to an old friend. But then I remembered Anthony's smirk when he called it his house. Lucia's cold, calculating tone when she demanded I hand over the deed. Marina's condescending sighs. And suddenly, the goodbye didn't feel heavy. It felt like victory. The ink was dry. The deal was sealed. My children had no idea that the very foundation they stood on was no longer theirs. And I was just getting started. Once the house was sold, all that was left was timing. I knew if I packed openly, my children would sniff around. They were vultures circling, and the last thing I wanted was for them to find out before I was ready. So I started small. A sweater here, a framed photo there. I'd slip things into grocery bags and carry them out like I was running errands. I had arranged for my new apartment on the other side of town, a sunny, modest place, in a senior community where neighbors actually smiled at you instead of sneering. It wasn't grand, but it was mine. That word mine hadn't meant so much to me in years. The night before I left, I walked through the house one last time. Each room whispered with memories. The laughter of my late husband echoed faintly in the living room. The birthdays I'd hosted, the holidays, the quiet mornings with coffee, all of it layered into the walls like ghosts. But then, I remembered the more recent echoes. Anthony slamming the door and shouting, "This is my house now, old lady." Lucia snapping, "You can't manage this place anymore, so just hand it over already." Marina whispering to her boyfriend on the phone, "Ugh, I can't wait until Mom croaks, so we can finally do what we want with this dump." Those voices drowned out the sweet ones, and with that, my heart hardened. I left a short note on the kitchen counter. Just a few words written in neat script. "I've decided to live somewhere peaceful. Don't wait up for me, Mom." At dawn, I slipped out quietly. The moving truck had already taken most of my essentials the night before. All I carried now was a small suitcase. I didn't look back. Hours later, as I settled into my new apartment, I imagined the chaos unfolding in that old house. Anthony, stumbling downstairs, confused by the silence. Lucia, noticing the missing dishes. Marina finally spotting the note on the counter. I could picture their faces, morphing from confusion to panic to anger, and all the while, they still had no idea of the biggest secret. The house they were standing in didn't even belong to them anymore. That reveal was coming, and when it hit, it would be devastating. The silence in my new apartment was golden. No doors slamming, no insults dripping through the walls. Just peace. But I knew that peace wouldn't last long. My phone started buzzing the very next morning. Anthony first, then Lucia, then Marina. Each voicemail more frantic than the last. "Mom, where the hell are you?" Anthony barked. "Mother, this isn't funny. You can't just leave," Lucia snapped. "Ugh, Mom, are you serious right now? You can't just abandon us like this," Marina whined. Abandon them. The audacity. I ignored the calls for 2 days straight, letting their panic marinate. On the third day, I finally picked up when Anthony called again. "Ma, what the hell is going on? You left the house like some kind of runaway teenager. Where are you?" I let his words hang in the air before calmly saying, "I'm exactly where I want to be. And by the way, Anthony, that house isn't yours anymore." There was a pause. Then he laughed short, mocking. "What are you talking about?" "I sold it," I said, my voice steady. "The papers are signed. The deed is transferred. That house belongs to someone else now." The silence on the line was thick enough to choke on. Then came the eruption. "You did what?" He screamed so loud I had to hold the phone away. Within hours, the three of them were calling non-stop, switching between threats, guilt trips, and begging. Lucia tried the lawyer angle. "You can't legally sell without consulting us." "Yes, I can," I told her coolly. "It was mine. Always mine. And you made it very clear you never saw it as my home. Only your inheritance. Marina sent a stream of texts, alternating between crying emojis and insults I wouldn't dare repeat out loud. But the final blow came when they drove to the house, probably ready to storm inside and reclaim their property. Except this time, they were greeted not by their mother's familiar kitchen, but by Mr. Lewis and his wife, who now legally owned it. I later heard from Daniela that Anthony nearly fainted on the porch. Lucia turned ghost pale, and Marina actually tried to argue with the new owners. But Mr. Lewis wasn't having it. He showed them the deed, his deed, and told them to get off his property. The best part? They had to leave with their tails tucked between their legs, their sense of entitlement shattered in front of complete strangers. When they finally called me again, their voices had changed. Gone was the arrogance. In its place was desperation. "Mum, please, where are we supposed to live now?" I took a deep breath, savoring the moment, then said simply, "That's not my problem anymore." And with that, I hung up. For the first time in decades, I felt completely free. When I think back on it now, I don't feel guilty, not even a little. For years, I gave everything, my time, my money, my love, only to be treated like an obstacle in my own home. My children didn't see me as a mother anymore. They saw me as a roadblock to their comfort, their greed. Selling the house wasn't just revenge, it was a lesson. They thought I was powerless. They thought I was too old, too weak, too naive. But I reminded them that I was still the woman who built that home, paid every bill, survived every storm. What did I gain? Peace, control, and most of all, dignity. The house is gone, yes, but the freedom I feel now, that's priceless. And if my children ever want a roof over their heads again, they'll have to build it themselves just like I once did.
Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this, go watch the one of the left and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel for more tales of triumph over injustice and a saga of ultimate revenge.